Greetings, hello guys. In this video I'm going to talk about flybases. I'm going to cover the following topics. Where should you search for a flybase? Like location wise. How can one find if there's one? So let's say you know the locations, but you don't know how to find the flybase. And when you found it, then how can you actually rate it? So let's waste no time. Start the intro and roll the video. So where can we find flybases? Where can they be built? Which locations are the most common ones for a flybase? Well, if we just go and look at the map right now, there are plenty of locations. And the reason being is that the map is huge. So let's just have a look around here. What can we see? Why would this be a good location to build a flybase? Well, basically, this is a good location because, as you can see, there's plenty of water around us. So basically, when we are thinking of flybase locations, we have to think of like, okay, if I have a flybase, what can I do? I can teleport, right? Yes, because you probably have a map room or some sort of midnight potion. Because those are the two ways with which you can just teleport away from your base. But what else? What would you like to also have? Well, maybe you want to go just below you, and why would you just teleport to an obelisk? If you can just like fall down and just get some resources around you and just TP back up somehow. For this reason, any lake or river which is deep enough to take no damage, meanwhile falling down from a flybase, is good. Other good location would be big enough mountain to slide down. Nobody would see you have a flybase just above crevice. And to be honest, that is insane. Basically, you can teleport from the bridge, or you can teleport to the mounts, or you can just jump down and slide down the mountain, which is pretty neat. Just for showing you another example, this location is perfect. This is P8. And why it is good. Many locations to fall down. You can have a base on this island. And you can just slide down on the mountain. But let's take a moment and think of. So what would be the combination of the two? Let's just think about having a flybase above our base. Can we do that actually? And the answer is yes. You can make also flybase above your base. Why is it so good? Let's say you have this base, it's pretty packed up, it would be really hard to raid. Let's say you're being offline raided. You leave some loot in your base so that they don't get suspicious, like a ton of loot. Like trolls, dragon powder, you leave something to them. But if you've been to this server for like a year or two, or half a year, let's say, because that's also a crazy amount of time. But imagine, you have a ton of loot, why don't you just spare some in your main base? And you have the rest up in above your main base. It's crazy, I know. But one can just do that. And people are doing that. I've seen hackers doing that stuff, and actually some other people have raided their flybase. And long story cut short, you can have flybase above your main base, and if you do it smartly, most of the people wouldn't even suspect that you have a flybase above your base. And of course, there are some really obvious places where you can find flybases, and it's basically because it's on a flat ground, or there's no base, just land claim, or it's a half-built base, or it's fake rated base, and stuff like that. You can suspect at these locations that there's a flybase. Let's go to the next point. The next point would be, how can one find a flybase? Let's say you know some locations, you know where to look. But how can you actually find a flybase? What people always say is go around with foundations, you know. And if you just go with foundations, then after a while it will say there's land claim. For example, over here, the land is already claimed. And yes, that is right, that's how you can find some flybases. However, nowadays, or at least that's how we found our last flybase, is that that flybase didn't have any land claim below it. And why is that? And how could it be like, okay, there's no land claim, then why couldn't you build below it, you might ask. And the reason being is that when we try to place a foundation, the foundation is just disappeared. So when we try to place it, we saw that from number 41 it went down to 40. And basically we were just spamming foundations, like this, and none of these foundations were placed, but we lost the count. So we had 40 foundations and right now we have 28. And that's how we knew it for sure that there's a flybase. And how did our last flybase location give up itself? There was just only one mistake, which wasn't their fault actually, is that we found this. We found a horse guarding on a really strange location. There was nothing around and literally there was no land claim like it is now. As I've told you earlier, we placed some foundations and we knew it, that there's a flybase. So let's say you know where to search, you know the locations, you know how to find them. Let's say you already found the flybase. How can you actually raid a flybase? And what's the best technique for it? Well, it all depends on the height of the flybase. Our flybase was built at max height, 314 foundation high up. But most of the players who are building flybase are lazy to do this. So what are your options to do so, to raid a flybase? First option would be is that if they are not built at max height, then you can just actually jump with double jump into it. Most likely, just like you just jump down and you will land from this foundation. So if the flybase wasn't built at max height, but you can just still go higher up, you may be able with double jump to jump into the flybase. On the other hand, if the flybase was built at almost at max height or at max height like this one, this is the highest point where I can build at that foundation and I can't build higher up, then you can choose our method. What we've done is foundation wiping it by shooting arrows, or you can just simply use a catapult to catapult yourself. And it would have been easy as that. You can just catapult yourself. And I'm going to show you guys again how to do it. Basically, you can also have stone in it, you don't really have to do. All you have to do, maybe have some counterweight if you need so. You can either have boulder or you can have the barrage. And all you would have to do is just have it reloaded. You try to jump or climb on top of it and you just align yourself. You launch the projectile and you can just do the raid solo. And if you actually get the perfect angle, you could have just land inside the flybase. And these three are the easiest way to raid the flybase. Either jumping, catapulting, or destroying the bottom with arrows, or with a trebuchet. It all depends on you. These are the methods which are available for most of the people and which are legit. There are other ways to raid flybases, but I'm not gonna cover those because they are against the rules and they are not legit at all. To sum it up, in this video I shared which locations, but rather what surroundings you should be looking for if you're searching for a flybase. And also how to find one. What are your options? Basically, you're just going around with foundation, and right now since you can just pick them up, I would just go with, I don't know, 10-20 foundations maximum, and I would just spam it randomly. And if the foundations disappear, then we can be sure that there's a flybase. And also you can find it above land claims, of course, above bases. But most importantly, if you find one, how to raid a flybase. You can either jump into or you can catapult yourself into, or you can just use arrows or trebucheting it. Make sure that if you find one, just destroy the whole place for my sake. And thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you in the next one. Up until then, bye!